All right. So, hello, everybody. I think it's just apparently it's just me. I don't know if you're on the YouTube page at all or not because
Oh, not at the moment. No,
um,
I'm here.
yeah. Yeah, I was just hoping if you could like and share the stream, of course. See if we can get some more people in here. That'd be nice.
Well, that's got to be done. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, we'll wait a few minutes, give people a chance to get in. Um, yeah. We'll wait a few minutes, give people a chance to get in.
Hey, mute. The heck?
Yeah.
Stop it. Stupid iPhone. They gotta make these iPhones where they quit. The buttons are on both sides. That
Mhm.
sucks. Because if I squeeze it to squeeze one button, guess what? I'm squeezing the other button. When you squeeze them both, you're trying to
Oh,
power it off.
yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, Woody's here. Hey guys. Hey Woody. Um, as always, if you guys just as a reminder, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more people in here. That'd be of some help. Um, so yeah, now now StreamYard says we have two people, but I did look over at YouTube that says we had three. Now it's back down to two. Anyways. All right. So you ready, RJ?
I'm here. What more do I need to do?
All right.
I'm here. I have beer. Let's have cheer.
All right. Okay. So here's what's on tap for tonight, guys. Now, of course, last week we did have some technical difficulties. I was not able to get through it. So basically, I'm going to be going through what we would have normally gone through last Friday. So we're going back to DC. Just as a quick little reminder. Um, Before we did it, actually, RJ, is there anything you wanted to promote or anything like that, or anything you wanted to
Um,
say or do anything before we
well,
get started?
I'll just say that if you do go to criticalblast.com right now, this week we are running one of our giveaways. We are giving away this steelbook version of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's got the metal case. It is the uh, 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray version with digital. So if you haven't seen it, this is a good time to jump in and try to get it. If you have seen it and you want a nice collection piece, there are multiple ways to enter. It'll be right there on the front page. So,
Oh, um, Woody just said RJ has Corona.
no, it's a bud. It's not a Corona. It's a bud.
Uh, oh, he probably thinks it's a Corona because it looked gold, I guess.
Ah,
Yeah, but anyways, okay. And of course, guys, don't forget to catch RJ Monday through Friday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Yeah, he'll have a bunch of indie comics guys on doing interviews and plugging the books. And then, of course, on Sunday, of course, you can see me on Critical Blast channel as well with RJ, James Lee, George Gatzis, and whoever else we decide to have on for an open panel. And then every other Saturday, the LCS. Did I get all that, RJ?
I think so. Sounded good to me.
All right. So, anyways, okay. So before we get started on the comics, there is a little bit of news I do have to kind of pass along. Some sad news, as it was confirmed today by Brian Pillman Jr. of AEW that his mother, Melanie Pillman, the former wife of the late Brian Pillman, passed away a couple days ago from a drug overdose. Um, she was 56 years old. Some of you might remember her from a couple of very controversial segments that happened on Raw. One most notably that almost got them kicked off of USA was the Pillman's Got a Gun segment, which Austin had was gonna go over to Pillman's house to try to beat him up, and Pillman in his wheelchair was sitting there with his gun, almost like going crazy. That's I think how they further the loose cannon gimmick. And then the other segment was when the WWF at the time had tried to interview her just after Brian's death in '97, where many people believed they were taking advantage of the situation. Um, so Melanie Pillman passed away June 1st, a couple days ago, at the age of 56, and I'd just like to do a moment of silence for a moment to just pass our condolences along to the Pillman family. Okay, with all that now, let's get on to some happier stuff. So today, as I said, we're gonna look into comics that went on sale from DC in February of 1939. So let me go ahead and share that screen. First off, we're gonna, of course, just go over some quick notes about some of the material here. Just got to. And of course, RJ, as you know, and everybody else in the chat too. If there, again, if you guys have any comments you'd like to share about what we are doing, or any or have any questions, feel free to ask. And if I can't answer them, I'll go ahead and do it. Hey, Robert, they have gone to be with Xenu now. Yeah. Well, Brian actually passed away back in '97, if that's what you were talking about, though. From a heart condition. So, um, anyways, so let me go through some of these notes real quick. The Superman note. So, Superman Goes to Prison is reprinted in Superman Action Comics Archives Volume 1, from which it gets its title. So, now, RJ, you probably knew this as well. Many of the stories back in these days did not initially have titles. The titles were given to them retroactively. Of course, you can also
Right.
see the notation up there, published by Detective Comics Incorporated there, and in Superman Chronicles Volume 1. And then another note here of interest here, at the end of the 1930s and the beginning of the quote unquote golden age of superheroes, as shown in several early Superman stories and at least one Green Lantern story, the municipal and state governments of Metropolis were riddled with corruption. Kind of a sign of the times there, RJ?
Yeah, I think so because that's what investigative reporters were supposed to be there for, was to root out corruption, and all of your characters were investigative reporters, so that's where they were going to find the corruption at.
Yeah, but wasn't the 30s kind of known as a time of, even in the real world a bit, the Al
Oh
Capone,
yeah.
that, the time of the Untouchables, you know. All right, and from the Zatara story, this issue features Tigress's sixth appearance, her seventh encounter with Zatara. As we noted way back in Action Comics number one, Tigress had had an encounter had a encounter with the Zatara prior to their first published appearance. Um, as they noted in that story. At the end of the story, she is vastly wealthy and could easily retire from her globe-trotting career of crime. She'll be back in issue number 22. And here's the other thing, and of course, the Zatara story will be the story we'll be reading. In this chapter, the antagonists discover and split up the fabled treasure of Genghis Khan, but see also Adventure Comics number 36, in which the protagonist of that story did the same thing, which that just goes to show you that that at the time, they hadn't melded it yet um into like one universe yet. They were still very early on here. And just so you can see that part for yourself. Then go over the. Oh wait, actually, no. Go. Let me go back for the trivia tidbits because some trivia tidbits there too. Um, Superman appears on the issue's cover for only the third time. This will soon change. The early covers of Action Comics did not feature Superman too much. Zatara artist Fred Guarnier is also credited as Gene Baxter on his Pep Morgan story, and as noted there, Franklin D. Roosevelt was actually in the comics at the time, and he was actually, I know he's fairly prominent across DC quality, and then I think, and I from what I've heard too, some of the early Marvel titles, which of course at the time was known as Timely Comic, he was quite a key figure as well. Um, but in that story that they're talking about there, um, in that story they're talking about there, um, that's actually from his. I think it's actually in the Detective Comics story that he's actually in the Bart Regan spy story from from Detective Comics. So, anyways,
BatGoat, this is the only amber that matters right here in the bottle.
BatGoat's here, huh? Oh, Amber lost. Woot. Hey, BatGoat, how's the trip going? Mike, RJ, good to see you. I might have a beer with RJ in the yeah.
I got to have a beer with Woody sometime. He's only an hour away from me.
Yeah, to check on my sunset while enjoying legal Michigan medicine. All right, and we kind of all get with that. Well, without me specifically saying, I think RJ, you understand what he's saying, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, anyways, so that's that. Let me go through some other quick little notes here. Just going through some of the notes, and then we'll get into the actual comic here and trying to get through these as quickly as I can. Oh, and there's another Franklin D. Roosevelt quote, and that's the one I was talking about from the Bart Regan story. And then the only real note here is what was also appearing. So the first issue for Ed Winitsky and Barry O'Neill, that's the one, but that was a serial that they had been running for quite a while there. This is the other story we were talking about with the whole treasure. Last issue for Golden Dragon by Tom Hickey. The next issue begins Skip Schuyler, a direct spinoff. In this chapter, the protagonists discover and split up the fabled treasure of Genghis Khan, but see also Action Comics number 10, what we were just talking about there a few minutes ago. And then finally, you still there with me, right, RJ?
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, oops. It said more fun comics. You had to differentiate because yeah, some of the early like you had new fun, then more fun, then more fun comics. And they actually made for that particular title, they actually made the differentiation. Oh wait, what am I doing? Not 10, 41. There we go. All right, so here are some of the okay, so published by Detective Comics Incorporated, Flying Fox by Terry Gilkison, or yeah, Gilkison returns after being absent for 2 issues. Now, RJ, I do know that there was a Flying Fox character in All Star Squadron, but
Yeah, there was.
this is
Not the
not
same
the
guy.
same. This is not the same guy. Not the same guy.
Right.
The one in All Star Squadron, I believe, was a Native American who had been bestowed a magical cloak that could make him fly.
Yeah, I
This
haven't thought about him in years.
yeah,
That's a
this
throwback.
character was just like an ordinary pilot who just happened to have the nickname of um, Flying Fox.
Yeah,
And
like
last,
Maverick.
huh?
Like Maverick.
Yeah. Um, Last issue for Masked Ranger by Jim Chambers. Jim Chambers is the guy who also does I believe he does Crimson Avenger as well. So all right. So now with the note stuff out of the way, now let's get into our feature presentation, as it were, as some people call it. Get into the actual comics here. Let's see now. And I did find a new. Oh wait, actually, what am I doing? Multi-page, and then because this is a bit more scratched up, I'm gonna go max, like absolute max magnification here, 500 times. Okay, now. All right, so there's of course the cover right there, number 10, March 19th. Now remember, when I make reference to him, I make reference to the on sale date. That March 1939 is the cover date. So just 64 pages of thrills. Superman appearing in this and in every issue. Look at him taking. Look at that, RJ. Superman punching out a plane.
That's pretty cool looking, man. Yeah, I love those impact lines that they always draw.
Hmm. Oh, is that explosion looking thing right there? Is
Yeah,
the impact lines? Yeah. You got another plane coming up on him too there. And of course, we're gonna read the Zatara story, but I'll kind of go through so you guys can take a peek at some of this. Let's see. Nonetheless, it's time. It's true. By Sheldon Moldoff here. Here's a few little fact tidbits here. Let's see. At the time of the discovery of America, there were about 1 million Indians. Today, there are only 335,000, but they have been increasing steadily. Yeah, I think a lot of that people would call, during the 1800s, with things like the Trails of Tears and all that. Um, there are about 45 stocks of Indian languages with about 300 dialects. So I'm just looking through all this. George Washington there. And Vin Sullivan was, of course, the editor, taken over after I don't remember. Dolhoff or Dolba. I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but basically the guy who took took Nicholson publishing away from Major Nicholson. So and then just look through the Superman story here a bit. Clark.
Wow, that is a rough scan.
Yeah. A lucky thing I had chosen not to read the Superman story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Well,
with the Satara story instead.
I
But
hope the lettering is bigger in the Zatara story.
well, it is because I looked at it earlier. It's a little bit better, but you notice I went right away with the maximum magnification right away. I knew that that was the only way I was going to be able to have any chance of easily reading it. And so oh, look at that right there. Help me. Coming. uh
I like how he's. Is he flying yet? Because he's just running through the water, through the mud and the quicksand.
yeah, well, I don't know if he's flying yet. It doesn't seem like he's flying yet. But he still may be like hovering or like, well, yeah, like right there. Look, see right there. He's running there.
Yeah, he's just running real fast. Okay.
I mean, as we've noted before, the very early days, he wasn't flying yet. He was more like he would be able to leap an eighth of a mile. So he had pretty strong legs, as it were, but he couldn't actually fly yet. And look at that, got him in the fireman's carrier right there to get him out of the quicksand.
Yep. Sign of a good artist there.
Kind of a good artist.
Sign of a good artist that they can draw him doing a fireman's carry and not some of these other silly carries I've seen lately in comics.
Oh, are they carries of that would make people think of a more perverse nature, maybe?
Oh no, they're just carries where you would drop the person if you tried to do it that way.
Uh, the Superman, the strip sensation of 1939 in every issue of Tell Your Friends. So, and here's Scoop Scanlon, 5-star reporter by Will Eli, who of course did the earlier Chandra of the Secret Service feature and more and new fun and more fun. And here they're doing like the red and white kind of palette coloring there. I'll go a little faster because I know we got to get through some of this stuff. But I just wanted to give you guys a chance to look at look at some of the artwork and stuff like that. And Pep Morgan by Gene Basser, aka Fred Guarnier. Of course, Pep Morgan, you could say, was DC's answer to Jim Thorpe. He was kind of a every sport athlete. The guy they'd bring in during whatever sport they needed. He's kind of he wasn't per se part of any one team. They would just bring him in when they needed. That's what a lot of these adventures were about with him. He gets injured, and then he has to come in and save the day. This doggone world, a humor strip they probably put in there amongst the. It's kind of funny that dog in some respects looks a little bit like Marmaduke, a little bit, at least facially. Any comment there, RJ?
I'm just watching the dog use the spot remover, and it removed Spot, and that's the end of it. That's the funny thing. It killed the dog. The dog's gone.
Yep. And here's another one of the classic ad pages for a bike. Big prizes and cash profit for boys.
Okay, so what are they selling? Because
Oh,
I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I wrote these things. I sold the flower seeds and I sold the grit newspaper. I made a little bit of money, but I did not win a bike or a fishing pole. I did win a radio one time. Earned enough credit for that. So little transistor radio.
in the adventure of Marco Polo. Of course, this is another thing they were doing. They were doing literary adaptations here. Um, Marco Polo was one of the ones that they were using at the time. Just see real quick. Time. Oh, wait, wrong one there. Oh, we're already at 26. I should probably get going a little bit, get to reading the story, but let's see. I guess Toys came in, huh? Hey, Toys. In Florida, I was golfing with my brother. Okay. I see. Okay. So this is a text story which they put in once in a while. They usually have, at this point, I think in order to maintain their identity as a magazine, they had to have at least one text story in there. Here's Tex Thompson by Bernard Bailey, and this is, I think, the start of another 3-issue arc. This story was retroactively called Shanghai, and then the Queen of the Malays, the other two parts 2 and 3. So where Tex Thompson gets abducted and taken off to some like hidden kingdom somewhere. And this, of course, is during his plainclothes adventure. The blonde-haired dude right there with the I guess the flannel shirt, the jeans, and that's Bob Daly with him in the white shirt there. Kind of a unlikely hero duo, huh? There, RJ.
Yep. Bob got fatter as he got older, and became known as Fat Man.
Yep. But yeah, that was I think that was after Tex had taken on the persona of Mr. America, as I
Yes,
recall. And then
and
as
dyed
we're
his hair dark.
huh?
And dyed his hair darker.
Yep. And started using a whip.
Yes.
All right, so it is. Continue this new thrilling adventure with Ted Thompson next month. And then film oddities here. Anything catching your eye yet, RJ?
Not really hooked on that World of Stamps article.
Yeah. Chuck Dawson here, which was a kind of a Wild West, and again the red and white palette here, and we've seen a number of these too. Where they would just use red and white coloring. Um, and I'm just going through it like this, just so people can look at the artwork and stuff. But we'll get into it once we get down to. There we go.
Here we are.
Zatara, which was the secondary feat. Now, as I remember, the practice at this point, with most of the time, it would become more prevalent in the as we get into the 40s. Your headline feature would be the first story. Your secondary feature would be the last story, and then you'd have a whole bunch of stuff in between. Tertiary on down. So here we go. Zatara, the Master Magician, and the Treasure of Genghis Khan by Fred Gardner. Deep in the forest of okay.
Yeah. Out
Yeah.
inner. Boy, I had to get that one through
Inner.
context.
Yeah, deep in the forest of Inner Mongolia lies the grave of the ancient Mongol Emperor Cheng Genghis Khan, ruler of men in that uh, ruler of men. In that grave are the countless treasures um,
Garnered.
garnered from a lifetime of looting the richest cities in all Asia. The treasure is beyond price and worth the ransom of 1,000 kings.
Well, they just put a price on it.
Yeah, yeah, but
I had to go full screen to be able to read this.
yeah. Well, I'm reading this kind of full screen with max magnification. But as you noted earlier, yes, this is kind of
Yeah.
a at least we're just reading the one story though this time instead of like trying to read two off of this like
Yeah.
we did last time. Um, in the Explorers Club at
Shanghai.
Shanghai, um, let's see. That's the story. I have a map. I have a map here. Let's see. Bought in an old um books bookstall. Um, I don't know whatever its um intrinsic.
Authentic,
I don't know if it's authentic. Um,
though.
though.
These letters bleed together in this scan. It's really hard.
Yeah. Um, it looks true to me. I like to give it. I'd like to give. Um, it looks true to me, but I'd like to give it a try. Whatever treasure you find, I will split evenly with you, Zatara. Um, my hand on that, or my word on that. Me go too, master. Unknown to Zatara, he is spied on by the tigress. Yeah, and this time she looks very different from what she did before. She was blonde the last time we saw her. She's quite a character, though, to say the least. Um, let's see. Yeah, we'll 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 ne- we'll ne- we'll need a guide. We'll need a guide, Tong. Let's go to the western gate. Um, beneath the western gate, um, your your pay. All right, let me see where. Okay, your pay shall be um a
Percentage.
percentage from the treasure we bring back. Yeah, that was a longer word, and because the letters were bleeding together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was considering skipping this, but I really did want to try to get at least one of the stories in. So, um, what, what did that man in the black suit say to you, Sora? They uh, they 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 go to they go to Dana, or they go to Inner Mongolia. Um, want the treasure of the Great Khan. Uh, I've heard of that. I think this is my cue. Trail the man in the black suit, Zatara. Don't let him out of your sight. That one would look better.
Yeah.
Okay. We're ready, Tong. If we succeed, we'll be wealthy. Sure worth a try, master. Have fun anyway. Anyhow. Uh, Flushed by the excitement of the hunt, Zatara faces fails to notice the tigress's spy. Um, all set, Sura? They left 10 minutes ago by the western gate. Quick quick rattle, quick rattle, um, quick saddle horses, and have ready and make ready to follow. And okay, and less than 1 hour later, another party leaves for distant Mongolia. In the meantime, it, is there is there a tree nearby, um, Mother? Um, the tree called Tree of Shiva. And enter, you seek the treasure of the Khan.
Everybody knows where this thing is at, apparently.
Everybody around there, anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, treasure's right over there.
How knew you? How knew you? I seek the treasure of the Khan. I am Kiyama, which all things are known to me. Only he who can make the great Khan speak can find the treasure. You cannot do that, fool of a white man. At least it's starting to get easier to read, huh?
A little
A little
bit.
bit. Yeah. No, I am, but I can. No, but I can. Look how look how he stretches himself out there.
Yeah, he's Plastic Man.
And he didn't even have to do an incantation.
Yeah. There's
Like
no backwards incantation here. Come on.
uh can Hig setter. I just tried to say stretch neck backwards. uh Foolish Kiana, to doubt the mighty Zatara. The great Khan has spoken. Seize them! Seize them! They go to profane the Khan's grave. Okay. Hopefully that was a better voice than the one I was doing before. Ride, girl, ride, tongue. Zatara gestures at the pursuing village Mongols. Afgorala.
That's nothing backwards.
Right. Uh, yeah, they were kind of going back and forth at this point, trying to figure out, okay, shall we have them do backward speech, or shall we just have them just, you know, or just have them just use nonsensical words? Seemed like they were going back and forth with that at the time. The Mongols are amazed to find their shaggy ponies racing away from Zatara. Aye, aye! RJ, I'm gonna step away from the computer for a moment. I'm gonna go get some water just to try to clear out my throat a little bit more here. If you can
Okay.
kind of entertain the crowd while I'm gone, I'll be right back.
Mr. Yanafui, I'm going to take the chat backwards. Yes, that is Zatanna's father. Zatara is Zatanna's father. But is there? I thought there were more comments. Yeah, okay, here they are. I see those people, and I imagine people talking like in George's movies. Yeah, well, that's how people talked, and that's how they wrote. I once was in a writers group, and I had a story that I was reading out loud for critique, and it was about Winsor McKay, and it was a chapter wherein he was in a dream, and it was written very much like the Little Nemo in Wonderland comic strips, which were even more precisely punctuated than the Golden Age comics. People just talked weird and were like, oh, I do hope I do not fall awake. Very stilted kind of thing. And it was funny because that was exactly the thing that they picked on in the dialogue was like, the dream dialogue was very, very weird. And there's this one old man in the corner just sitting there. And he's like, now that you're all done, let me tell you something. He hit it on the head. That's exactly how because he was old and he had read those strips. He knew all about them. So he's like, the man did his research. Pizza and chill. Beer store was closed by the time I got. It's Friday. Oh, that sucks, man. Here the beer stores are open on Sunday. You just can't buy anything out of them. I did sell grit. 099-83438. That was my account number. Wow, long time ago. And I did not get rich. No, not rich. I remember the ad with Richie Rich talking to us. How did we get so rich? As a boy, I sold grit. My parents used to make fun of that strip and say, Dad, how come we're bankrupt? Well, when I was a kid, I tried to sell grit and I spent more money selling it than I did making an income off of it. I eventually turned it into a subscription basis kind of thing where I didn't have to collect the 35 cents knocking on the door every time I delivered the paper. It's like, hey, you want to pay for a month and I'll just toss it on the porch. And then I got the local grocery store involved where they would pay me to put a sales flyer in each one. So basically I made it harder on me because now I'm like having to open the paper, shove something in it, and then roll it up and put a rubber band on it. But I had my little shoulder bag, canvas bag that said grit on the side of it. It was it was a small town paper for the entire country. There were no groundbreaking headlines going on in grit. It was completely human interest from cover to cover about, people and their animals and their hobbies and what they were doing. It was grit was interesting. I can't remember what it stood for. I thought it was an acronym for something, but
Hey everybody! Hey, Mr. Yanafui, BatGoat, Action, Woody, Robert. Thank you guys for being here. Anyways, we'll continue on with the comic now. I just had to clear out my throat a little bit with some water. All right, so let's get back to this then. All right, let's see. We have eluded them. Let let me check for the me cold master. This fire, this fire will warm you. I do not expect any anyone to follow us, um, other than other than there might be they might tell of our presence. Um, Back in the village of Kiyama, greetings to you. Um, my who follow the white magician. Um, Axe I know, for I can see the glow of your eyes and the flush of your cheeks. Can, can you help me, witch? Machamba! Then, then call this charm shall die, shall save you. Away and sail the treasure of the Khan. Save the treasure of the Khan. Yeah, like Tigress, that's her intention is to save the treasure of the Khan. She's gonna save it all right, but not in the way that I think the witch would have in mind. Would you agree with me on that, RJ?
Oh yes, definitely.
There is the Tara. He rests now. Day after day, deeper and deeper into Inner Mongolia, the searchers plod on. And always just behind them, of course, is a tigress. um, the tree of Shiva. We um we are halfway on our journey. From here, we turn left to follow the trail to the pool of purple. Let us to horse. Yeah, an interesting way to say to get on the horse. Let us to horse.
Let's ride.
Yeah, kind of an interesting way of saying it, huh? There, RJ.
Yeah, I always love these treasure maps. Like, we found the tree. Now we have to turn left. Well, you knew where the tree was. Why don't you just take a hypotenuse directly to where you were going to go? Um,
That wouldn't make that would make for a good story if you sped things up that much.
yes.
Hmm. Well, maybe he didn't initially know where exactly the tree was because he still had to find it on the map, obviously. Um, he has a map. We must steal it. Then we need not wait for him. So that night, while Zatara sleeps, a hand reaches into Zatara's coat and finds the treasure map. Look at her hand right there. And Zatara almost wakes, but does not. At dawn the next day, the map. I should have known somebody somebody
Some hardy fools would follow us.
some Hardy's fools would follow us. Yeah. uh, no stopping now. We can find our path to the purple pool. Shall um shall devise or yeah I shall devise some means of proceeding. Look, hoof prints. Mongol ponies ahead of us. The pool of purple. The pool of purple. Uh, we have another quarter of the way to go, and others were ahead of us. Um, their their hoof prints um, show that. I shall delay no longer. Andorega to the top. Now shall we find those who have preceded us?
Preceded us.
Yeah. A strange sight to Inner Mongolia, a typhoon in the middle of the ancient desert. Typhoons are usually on the sea, right?
Um, yeah, yeah. Typhoons are like big wet things.
Yeah. And yet you got one in the in the desert. Okay.
Well, it's magic
Yeah. Behold the cliff of Conan.
of the con.
Of the Khan. Cliff of the
Conan's in a
Khan.
different book.
Well, no, it just to me it looked like Conan for some reason. But um rise water to the level of the cliff of the Khan. We have arrived. First, I shall go back now to see who followed with our or who follows with our map. I'm guessing he's found that they somehow got ahead of them. I guess
Yep.
it would appear. I should have expected. Only the tigress could have succeeded so well. I shall make her path a little harder while I go ahead to the grave. Far ahead of Tigress, Zatara um, throws a spell over the Mongol waste. Look at that! He just cracked the earth open right there.
Yeah. Why did he follow a map? Why did he just say, "To the treasure we go"?
Well, then that would be one short story, wouldn't it?
Yes. Well, that's just it. The reason for the stories are sometimes silly but necessary to have a story.
Right. Th- um, this will hold you a while, Tigress. And then again, also we couldn't see all this great magic that he's doing against Tigress, right?
Yeah.
If they didn't write it this way. Um, worry not about the Tigress. Let us go here below the cliff to the grave on a rocky knoll. Not long now, master. What have we here? A Mongol welcome to Mongol welcome to the unwelcome strangers. Korog hush. Yeah, Korog mush. Under Zatara's hypnotic pressure. You like how they said that under his hypnotic pressure, under Zatara's hypnotic pressure. Interesting way to say that. When you say um RJ?
Well, he pressured them.
Yeah. The Mongols' weapons turn on their owners. Aye, aye! A great lord has come! A great lord has come amongst us! Lead me whence you came. Zatara is led into a Mongol village. There is Hordas Gon, chief of the Mongols of the Great Khan. I have come for the treasure of Genghis Khan. I have sworn my life, as all my ancestors have done, to defend that treasure against all. You you must go away, white man. But the Mongol chief grants them shelter of their own and places guards outside. We um we must make our getaway um this evening. Good, master. That night, in front of Zatara's shelter, I'm betting I'm getting awfully small. What the? I'm getting I'm getting taller every I'm getting yeah. I'm getting tall. It looks like it says taller there, but getting tinier every minute. Pretty soon I'll disappear. He's gone. Well, here we are. Now we shall split into three into into three units and search for the grave. Still with me, RJ?
I'm here.
Just hadn't heard anything, so I didn't know.
You're
Um,
reading, man. I won't interrupt.
uh, like Mr. Yanafui was asking you something there. Oh, that must have been from earlier. Entertain me, RJ. As Zatara searches, he comes to a little gully. The, the grave of Genghis Khan. The grave of Genghis Khan and a haunting figure.
Yeah, one of them anyway.
Yeah. Follow me, rash explorer. Indeed I will. Zatara follows the ghostly girl into the temple. Ghostly girl. Nice alliteration there, huh?
Yeah.
And of course, everybody, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. Hopefully, get some more people in here to enjoy the content as we're going through all this. If you can help out with the likes and shares, that'd be appreciated. Um, the fabled treasure of the Great Khan. I I am a genie sent by the curse of the Great Khan to to guard to guard well to guard Wayland
Well,
to
to
guard
guard well
well
his
his
treasure.
treasure. To guard well his treasure. You are the first stranger white man to find it. You must take a test to see if the Khan approves of you. Follow me again. Stranger white man. That's an interesting way of putting that. Tell me something, RJ. Would you follow that beautiful genie right there?
Uh, no, because she's a ghost.
The girl leads Zatara past the treasure. The first step to pass the desolate chasm. Look at that. Look at how they drew that there. And look at all the monsters there.
Gruesome stuff down in there.
Yeah. And that on the other side there, it looks like some kind of bag of treasure or something like that. That white bag right there, you see it?
Yep. I'm sitting here humming dun 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 dun
Time for
dun
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
dun. Yes.
All right. Gila John, come, girl. You and I shall follow in the true steps of the Khan. And look at that.
He built the bridge.
He made his own little bridge there. The second test. The second test. To pass safely the eternal flame.
Magic sprinkler. Oh no, he's gonna.
Zatara best sets
Gestures.
gestures, and the girl and himself become encased in ice. Thus equipped, may we venture across. Come. Truly, you are a marvelous man. There remains but one further test. You must slay me, and all the treasure shall be yours. If you do not... Meanwhile, the tigress down there, the map says so. No treasure here, lady. No treasure here, lady. I see footprints. I think Zatara has gotten here ahead of us. He can't be far. Treasure or no, I will not take a life to win it. Well, I will. I will. Bam! Crash! For her, the treasure. For you, my blessing also. Actually, I'm sorry. For her, the treasure. For you, my blessing also. The girl dissolves, and in her place, a huge diamond, flawless. So, you beat me to it again, Zatara. I won't let you get away with it. I tell you, my Mongols, there's plenty for both, Tigress. Let us not squabble over the ransom of a whole world. For 2 weeks, they labor to remove the treasure of the Khan. At the gate, we'll never get back to Shanghai. Huffa Zin! Hubazin! Dried peas are so much easier to carry, Tigress. You take your share. Oh boy, let's see. And so off to far Shanghai. Back at the Explorers Club. By by Jove, you did it. But all you want to all you want is one chest, old man, and the diamond the girl um became. You're welcome to more. One chest of those jewels will make me wealthier than I've ever been. And the jewel, I'll keep that as a souvenir. The end. So how did I do, RJ?
Well, you did as best you could, given that there was so so hard to read what you had there.
The Old West here, the rodeo began with the contest cowboys used to indulge in after the season's work was ended. See, some events such as bronc riding, calf roping, um, are part of the cowboys' work. Others, such as bulldogging and steer riding, are just show stunts. Interesting stuff there, huh? And here's one of the pages we really do the here are the ad pages. You got some guns there. You got a magnifying lens there. Plane. And then here's an ad page in color. Look at that. And it's kind of funny because across these are the same ad pages they'd have across almost all of the comics here. They didn't really differentiate all that much, if at all. They had the same ads pretty much in it didn't matter which company, if it was I guess I don't know if at this point it was called National Allied or National Publications or whatever DC was, or Fiction House or what have you. All right, so there we go with that. I'll go back up and set up. All right, let me go ahead and decrease down to 125 here. Let me do this. I'm gonna get it set up, and then and I'm gonna need to step away from the computer for a moment here.
All right.
And this one I don't think we will need too much to. There we go. We won't need to do the full magnification there because can I enter the stream for a moment?
That was a long time ago. I don't think he's still here.
Okay. Well, I didn't even see it. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Well, if something like that happens, RJ, just let me know, and then so that I can respond. Maybe RJ can juggle for us. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm gonna step away for a moment or two. So RJ, why don't you talk to him? Maybe you can give some notes on what we just read or what have you, um, your observations or what have you. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Well, Zatara was one to play fair, apparently, with the treasure. because he did split up the tigress when basically all she did was follow him and shoot the genie, which was the last thing you had to do to get the treasure. He could have turned around and says, "How dare you do that?" and zapped her off to Timbuktu through magic, and then just say, "Okay, the treasure's all mine." Uh, Treasure hunt stories are always kind of weird, more so in comic books, I guess, uh, because there's so many ways around the plot. Uh, but the plot exists for you to read and buy the book. So I don't know what we're going to get into next. I forgot, but we're going to go into Detective Comics. It's not Batman because Batman's not here for another 2 months yet. He hadn't even appeared yet, but soon. Oh. I will tell people that we will be live on the CGUK bargain bin this Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for the live launch. Actually, probably be a little bit more earlier than that, because at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when we're going to launch the campaign that Critical Blast is hosting on Indiegogo for the hardcover version of The Devil You Know Better. 20 short stories of horror and science fiction and humor and folk and all kinds of genres, but all about people's encounters with the devil. This is the second in the anthology. The first one was The Devil You Know. This one's The Devil You Know Better. Yeah, we'll do a third one, and you can probably guess the title. But Monday is June 6th, and with the CG bargain bin, it will be 6 in the evening there. So we will be making that campaign go live on 6/6 at 6. So yeah, I had my screen also here in StreamYard blown up to the full size, Woody, and I was still struggling. So I just brought it back. I'm like, you know what? I'm not reading it. I don't have to figure out the words. A lot of it was being figured out by context for me.
Oh, what was Woody just asking you how you were able to help me out with some of that?
No, he was just saying he increased the pixel count on his focus to see stuff, but I said I couldn't see it even when I had full screen. I was just figuring it out from context between the words I could.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember, I had it all the way. I had the maximum magnification, and still there are times that the letters were just bleeding so much together that it was work. But this one, from what I've seen, is a little bit better. We're at the hour 13 mark, so I'll try to get through at least the 2 stories here, and I think we'll be, because I think by the time, now granted, this is going to be better, so we'll see where we're at after that if I decide to go on or not. Let's see. Oh, sorry, was gone for a bit. Took a stroll by the Iron River. Okay, that's cool, BatGoat. Um, yeah. So, all right. So, anyways, so let's get on to Detective Comics here. So, like here, 10 cents. Of course, this is from March 19. Again, cover date March 1939. On sale date was sometime in February of 1939. Number 25, 64 pages of action, Detective Comics. Now, of course, the stories in here were all more or less, there was a specific theme attributed to them, usually like detective work or some kind of private detective. All the characters here were in one form or another some kind of private detective. You know, um, detective puzzles here. So, okay, we'll start with the Speed Saunders story here.
Hey, these letters are clear.
Yeah. Speed Saunders, Ace Investigator, and the Death Sled by Fred Gardner. Speed motors into the country for a holiday. When suddenly a girl um, darts out and begins to run toward him. Help! Oh, help! Oh, please, do help me. Something terrible has happened. I'm a neighbor of the Dells. They're away in Florida, and all except Tommy. I found him dead just now. He was sleigh riding and hit a tree. I'm a detective from New York. Maybe I may be able to help you. Call the doctor and all that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so good of you.
I'm a detective. I can teach you, helpless woman, how to dial a phone.
Young Tommy Dell has gone on his last sleigh ride.
Yeah, I'd say so. That is pre CCA blood on the snow.
Probably coming out of his head there.
Yeah.
This was like 20 years before CCA. 15, 20 years before CCA. So, something is queer here. I don't think Tommy took his sleigh ride voluntarily. And of course, here queer means you wanna finish that statement?
It just means this is strange. This is funny looking.
Yeah, as opposed to what it means today, right? Um, there has been something else. There's been someone else beside us. I wonder. His wrists were lashed with wires um, to the steering grips. He was dead when he was placed on the sled. So it looks like somebody may have tried to make it look like he died from the sleigh ride.
Yep.
Um, anyways, I'm gonna need to step away again for a moment. Chloe's barking, so I got to go tend to her. I'll be
All
I'll
right.
be right back.
Well, apparently the people got to the sled before Saunders did because they unlashed him. Saunders just saw the indentations in his wrist. Um, I like this. He's telling. I want to read this while Mike's gone, but then Mike will be two panels behind everything. Um, this makes no sense. The technology is not here for this, for what he's telling her to do. Um, okay, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Story by Fred Gardenier, by the way. Fred was a American illustrator who was born in 1913. He passed away in 2002, 20 years ago, and is mostly known for his work in the 1950s on the Western comic book series The Durango Kid. But he did do a lot of work in the 30s and 40s during what historians and fans call the golden age of comic books. I love the golden age. I love the fact that we measure comic book eras by metal, and the newer they get, the less precious the metal becomes, which sort of tells me that the comics are depreciating in value over time here. We've gone through the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age. You know, who's buying bronze? And I don't know. I guess we're in the aluminum foil age now. But you can find a lot of Fred Gardenier's artwork on Google, of course. You just type in his name. The reason I looked it up was because Gardenier, guard as in National Guard, and then Enier, like a rocketeer, was a weird word to me. I thought, well, is that some kind of pseudonym? I thought perhaps Gardner Fox had sort of switched things up and tried to take a pseudonym, but no, that is Fred Gardenier's full and real name. Uh,
You looked that up, RJ?
yes, I did, and
Huh.
I yeah, it's he did a lot of artwork, mostly for the
Is it
Durango Kid.
pronounced Gardner or because I was thinking it was Gardner, but
No, it's Gardenier.
uh-huh.
It's why I thought it was Gardner Fox under a pseudonym, but it's his real name, Fred Gardenier.
And the funny thing is, Gardner Fox was starting up around this time, apparently, from what I've seen. So, actually, we've kind of looked now at two Gardner's stories here, Zatara and this one. RJ,
I'm here.
okay, you didn't say anything in response to that. So I thought maybe you went dead
I
on me.
didn't know I had to on that one. I thought you were stating a fact.
Uh, anyway, oh dear, what shall I do? Wire his family and ask for permission for me to conduct an investigation and take care of matters. Let's go to his house and telephone.
Okay, so here's the thing. He says to wire his family and ask for permission. And then he says, let's go to his house and telephone. So does his family not live at his house?
Well, okay. I don't know if you heard me earlier in the story, but she said that his family was apparently away in Florida.
Ah, okay. I thought her family was away in Florida, but I get it now. So
No, I think she said his family was away in Florida. Let's see.
okay, I saw it. Yep, I saw it. She laid out the plot.
All right. So, anyways, um, Jameson, this is Investigator Saunders. Tommy has been killed. Um, he let's see. He ran into a tree and sustained a concussion of the brain. May I use your phone? Yes. Yes, Constable. I'll be right over. Surely with Miss Everts. I was out walking when I heard a thudding, sickening thump. When I investigated, I found Tommy and then I came along and we went over to see the body and in the meantime, evidently, as you will observe, the flow of blood is greatly less than would be expected if Dell had been alive when he crashed. So is he saying that the if the injury had been sustained, if the killing blow had been sustained as a result of the sleigh ride, there would have been more blood
Yep,
there than there
there
was.
would have been a lot more blood
Yeah,
because it would have been pumping.
yeah. I want to follow these tracks. I um I wonder who visited the Del Boy and snipped those wires off his wrist.
Yeah, so you're right, Woody. There were footprints in the snow. We actually did see footprints all over the place, and Saunders said somebody's been here before us.
Yeah. Well, that was clever. Road gravel leads no clue. Whoever it was could have walked toward the Dell house, um, or toward the village. I'm just following my hunch to the garage. I think this is the best place for the murderer to go, even if it were an outsider. Some pretty good, some pretty credible deductive reasoning there, huh? There, RJ.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, he was going toward the house. He could have been clever and got to the road and just doubled back in the opposite direction to throw you off. But yeah, Occam's razor says probably going to the house.
Yeah. Speed searches the garage for vital clues. Um, Snipped off cleanly. I think these will show traces of Dell's epidermis. RJ, do you know what the term
That's
epidermis means
that's
here?
that's skin, boys and girls.
Right, skin. That's your skin cells, basically. As Speed passes the pool on his way toward the house, well, things begin to shape up. Can you get me an axe and a grappling net, Miss Everts? Ask the ask the trooper for them. I'll wait here. This may be enough. I'll let down the net. I've got it. This was a weapon that crushed Tommy Dell's skull.
That is one shallow lake.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like a hammer. That's a hammer right
Yeah,
there.
that would have sunk all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. Um, he or she was very clever, but I'm afraid, well, let's get back to the house.
Aha.
He or she. I
He or
wonder.
she went out of his way to say he or she this time. That's sort of like what we call Chekhov's gun. If you've said she, it must be a she now. Uh, I bet it's the girl who flagged him down. She's the one who killed him.
Hmm. Let's see. I want Tommy Dell's stomach pumped, and I want a police. I want a place where I can search this hammer for prints. This is where Doc Jones' office is. I want the stomach pumped, doctor. I'll wait here. I have my fingerprint um, record and case, so I'll be busy.
At which point the doc says, "You're a private eye. Who's paying for this?"
Well, they say ace investigator. I know when we first see him back in Detective Comics 1, he was part of the River Patrol for the FBI, but I guess he eventually did become a private investigator.
Yeah, but so he's investigating this case, but nobody's hired him. He has no money to do all this with.
1 hour. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean he still wouldn't have the equipment on him. I mean,
The equipment, yes, he might have his fingerprint kit, no problem, but he can't just tell some doctor to do a stomach pump. The doctor's like, "Who's paying me?" You know, when the constable says it, the state's paying him.
yeah. Well, if this is in fact a murder investigation, that may be the case, because basically what they're getting at here is that Tommy, this wasn't an accidental death. This may have been an actual, murder. So maybe that's where they're going with, maybe, or maybe, as I said, maybe he's still at this point a federal agent doing this,
He
and
he, he would have to be an authorized agent of some kind, not just a private investigator.
yeah. 1 hour later, not a trace of print. Tough luck. Wonder what the doc found. You were right, Speed. There was digitalis in his stomach. It works fast. Um, do you know what digitalis is?
Yeah, it's usually injected, and it's usually injected because it's untraceable. It's not something that would show up in an autopsy, let alone a stomach pump. But pray tell, Mr. Gardenier, go ahead.
um, well, if he swallowed it somehow, because I think digitalis can be in powder form too. So if he somehow ingested the powder form, that could be found in a stomach pump. Probably, I would think. But digitalis, I think, is some kind of narcotic or something, right?
Yeah, it's frequently used in assassination stories because it's
Kind of like curare, right?
yeah, it just causes a heart attack, and people assume you died of a heart attack.
Yeah. In fact, even Speed said it here. That affects the heart.
Yeah.
You say there's one more druggist in town. I've got to find out who bought that digitalis. I'm special investigator Sean. So I think a title like special investigator might be more associated with like a government agency or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of being a private investigator, he called himself special investigator, not private investigator, which would mean that he probably is a government agent then. So, um, I'm special investigator Saunders. I'd like to know when and to whom you last sold digitalis. Let me see. My records show I sold some to the Dell place to kill some big rats about 2 days ago. Okay, things are getting a little dim. I'm going to step away one more time for a quick moment so I can turn on my light. I'll be right
Okay.
back. And you can give some more commentary on what we've read so far. RJ, while I'm gone.
Well, digitalis is made from the foxglove flower, bleh. And you do use it for heart medicine. It is made to strengthen the contractions of the heart. This would be a weak heart, which needed to be strengthened. Um, so if you had a regular heart and it started tightening up, it would give you a heart attack. And it would appear that yes, it can be a ingredient in certain kinds of rat poisons. Um, in fact, they found that rats were killing themselves because they were running around in the foxglove and they were getting the pollen in their fur. And hey, they were just dying from giving themselves, licking their fur. Um, so dead rats.
All right. So, anyways, back to the article now, or back to the story now. Anyways, back to the feature. Um, do you see the monstrous cleverness behind this? If we had learned at the wire and the hammer, if we had leaped at the wire and the hammer and sought to arrest anyone, the murderer could have shown by the blood clots that Dell had been dead when the skull was crushed in. And it is um we've been been spared that I but the murderer, could not be arrested again for that murder. So he would go free. He plotted well.
So they killed him with the digitalis. Then they busted him in the head with the hammer. And then they sent him down the sled. So if they went with just the hammer, says, "We've got a hammer," and said, "Look, this is the hammer that hit him," and then the story, apparently the plot is that the guy will say, "Hey, look at these blood clots. He was dead when the hammer hit him," and then he'd be released and say, "Okay, you did not murder this man." And he's playing into the whole idea of double jeopardy would have come into play to where the man couldn't be tried for the murder again. It's not quite true when you find out that he murdered him differently, but we tend not to let murderers off on double jeopardy.
Yeah. Um, will you please send Jameson in to see me in the library, Miss Everts? This is some place. The Dells sure have money. They are quite an old family. Old family, old money, right?
Yep.
Hist- um, History of the Dell family in America. What's this? Two necklaces.
Necklaces.
It's supposed to be necklaces.
Yeah.
But you notice the L's missing.
Yep. This letterer. We have a bad letterer.
A letterer kind of screwed up there. Two necklaces of blood rubies have been in the family for generations, being a present of. That's all I needed. The motive. You wanted me, sir? You wanted me, sir? Yes. I arrest you for the murder of Tommy Dell. Me, sir? You've been after the two necklets of blood rubies. You found them, but Tommy Dell caught you. You injected digitalis into his veins, killing him. Then you cleverly conceived the idea of battering in his skull and wiring his wrist to a supposed death. So initially, when he was saying he or she, we were thinking that they were going to throw us off that it was going to be the girl who was the murderer, but
Yep.
apparently that's not the case.
Because wait for it, the butler did it.
Yeah.
And by the way, he says right there, injected it into his veins. Stomach pump isn't going to show that at all.
Yeah, obviously there's a little
Full autopsy, yes.
What was that?
A full autopsy might, if you were looking for it. But stomach pump is not going to show digitalis in the veins.
I mean, well, obviously these writers didn't always.
Clever plot, but missing a few details.
Yeah. Looking back on it now, we can see all these little mistakes. Looking back on it now, like let's see, 1939 to so like 83 years into the future, we can look back on it and laugh at some of the grammatical mistakes they made back then. But they may not. Obviously this wasn't just the writer and the letterer who were screwing up. This is obviously an editorial issue too. The editor didn't catch it either.
Yeah, well, none of them were expected to be medical technicians.
Yeah. Yeah. Wiring his wrist to a supposed death sled. Only you were a bit too clever. If you hadn't wired the wrist, I never would have suspected anything at all. You're so smart. Figure this. Bam!
Here's the other thing. He wired him to the sled and then sent it down the hill. Now, you're in California, Mike, so you don't get a whole lot of snow. I've gone sledding. Well, you can't just aim a sled down a hill and say, there's the tree, we're going to hit. That's like playing Plinko on The Price is Right. That sled's just going to go where it wants to, especially if nobody's really steering it.
Plinko before.
Yeah. It's like, how many times did he have to haul that sled back up the hill to hit a tree?
Yeah, that kind of depiction of sledding is common in comics and cartoons, though. I've seen a number of cartoons, mainly Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes and MGM cartoons, where they'll just put you on a sled and the sled just automatically goes straight down whatever hill it happens to be on.
Yeah.
There's no zigzagging. It's like, that's kind of something that's well known, and I think in comics and comic book that they do. Um, of course, as you were saying earlier, the people who were writing these stories were not expected to be like rocket scientists or
No.
physicists or medical technicians or anything like that. Anyways, I will think. Boom. Um, he's a murder trooper. Take him away. The end. Let's see, where are we at on time here? Let's see. We're at hour 40. So I think I can get one more story in inside of the 2 hour mark and then get done. And we might go slightly over 2 hours, but I think I can get one more story in. Maybe get the Crimson Avenger story in, and then we could say we could start wrapping up after that. Feel like hearing a little, seeing what Crimson Avenger's doing at this time, RJ.
Let's go for it.
All right, so crime never pays. Some more little um And you see, when I'm doing multiple books, obviously, like if DC was still only like one or two books, and we'd be spending a little more time in them, obviously, and be even reading up some of the side stuff here, or we were focusing specifically on a specific book, but that's not the case here. Buck Marshall, Range Detective, the Western one there. Spy, Bart Regan Spy by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Again, Siegel and Shuster were probably one of the busiest creative duos at this time period. They had Superman, they had Slam Bradley, they had Bart Regan Spy, they had Federal Men in Adventure Comics and Radio Squad. They had like 5 features across like 4 books. That's quite a workload for that time period, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah.
Especially when you consider it's a newer medium. It's not like a brand new medium because it's obviously been around for 3 or 4 years already, but still, that's quite a bit of work there. Oscar, I think, is a little bit more of a comedic story than the stamp collection there. And then here's the Mysterious
Ooh.
Doctor Fu Manchu by Sack Romer. What was that ooh all about?
Well, Fu Manchu is a character you can't use him anymore. He's one of those public domain characters that won't come out of the public domain because somebody's got a copyright of some special kind on him. Uh, he was the one character when Alan Moore wrote the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because Moore was using nothing but uh, public domain characters, and he was supposed to be the villain in it at one point for one level of the story, and they could never say Fu Manchu. They always had to say the Doctor of Limehouse, uh,
Yeah.
which was where he operated out of in all the stories, selling opium and stuff. Um,
Yeah, the opium trade was very common back then, particularly among the Asian mafia, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
All right, so here's one of our mass vigilantes here, the Crimson Avenger by Jim Chambers. Um, Feared by the underworld and hunted by the police, the Crimson carries on the work of um,
Defending.
defending the helpless, known as the Crimson to only his Chinese servant, Wing. Lee Travis is the wealthy young publisher of the Globe Leader. Now, of course, at this point in time, in the early stages of his career, he was just simply called the Crimson. I think it was later they started calling him the Crimson Avenger more. There's a Globe Leader, a dead in car. Second plunge for airline. Second plunge for airline. Oh, 4 dead in crash. That's what it is. Second plunge for airline in a week. All right, so here we go. In both cases, the pilots bailed out. Check check one that will check that one, will you, Mac? Sure, boss. It does. It does look kind of funny. Must be some fiendish crank behind it all. Can't just be coincidence. Man, this lettering is pretty good. I'm able to actually read it, huh?
Yeah, it's much clearer.
Yeah.
Except for that first page where the page was folded when they scanned it. It had been unfolded, so there's a crease there across the letters.
Yeah. Two young men enter Lee's office. Mr. Travis, we were sent on from Chicago by Mr. Hoff. He said you might be able to help us find jobs. We're engineers. So even at this point, even though the they were starting to come out of the Great Depression here a bit, you still had people struggling to find jobs. It would appear. Hey, RJ.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's see. There's K.A. Power. There's yeah, H.A. Powers, the rubber magnate. He's been advertising for young men to go to his South American plant. Thank you, sir. We'll go over and see him. Um, any more replies to our ad, Jenks? Yes, Mr. Powers. There's two young fellows out there now. After a few minutes of conversation, you're hired. I'll get your tickets and have them at the airport. Be sure to take the 12 o'clock air transport bus. Yes, sir, and thank you, sir. We'll be on it. The following day, as the bus appro- uh, 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 approaches a crossing, here they come. Here they come, Joe. Let her go. Oh. Brakes screech as the bus tries to avoid the oncoming truck. Bam! Look at that traffic accident, huh, there, RJ?
Oh yeah. Demolish the bus.
I feel responsible for those two fellows that were killed in that bus crash. They haven't found any driver for that truck yet. This is sure costing the airlines insurance company a lot of dough. Insurance, that's it. It's only a it's only a quarter for $5,000 worth. A, qu- a quarter for $5,000 worth of insurance.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Now if
so
that now if BatGoat were here, he'd have his inflation calculator. We could figure out what that would be in today's money.
yeah, but here's the thing: that insurance, that insurance is paying for the bus and the plane. That's what the insurance company pays to the airline. The families of the people who get killed get the life insurance that's on them. Uh, so
But if these were young men, I doubt very seriously they would have had life insurance.
no, but the airline has life insurance.
Hmm.
That's why they're killing the people on these planes, um, rather than just crashing them empty and taking the insurance on the
So
on the
basically,
property
this
damage.
is this seems like some. Well, I did read the title before. It is the title of the story is the airline insurance murders.
Yeah,
Um, so I
unless the
I
airline was taking out policies specifically on the passengers, which would be suspicious.
Meanwhile, a huge transport, um, winging its way over the Florida Keys, suddenly blows up. Look at that.
Yeah, it's on fire.
Yeah. What do you think of that artwork right there, RJ?
That's pretty cool. It's nice and colorful. Um,
What do you think of the artistic, the artist's interpretation of flames on a plane there?
eh, I'm sure he has never seen a plane blow up in midair before, so he did the best he could. Um,
Yeah, that's I think what made comic writing probably very interesting back then is that they didn't really have a wide range of knowledge to go on in terms of how to actually write these stories, huh?
yeah,
Uh, that settles it. Um, I'm going to check the passengers list for each past disaster. Meanwhile, at Power's house, hmm, I I hate to do it, Powers, but we'll have to we'll have to take your plant if you don't raise those um if you don't raise those you don't raise those moats.
notes,
Oh,
notes soon.
you
You
don't
don't raise
raise
those
those
notes
moats.
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got to pay off some loans.
yeah. I, I ignoring, but I oh
I
I
know, but I'm getting the money.
I know, but I'm getting the money. Thank you. All right. Um, here's 28 or 26,000 of it already. Call up that call up that paper and find out what call up that paper and find out um why we haven't more replies to our ad. Hmm. Actually, I kind of remember seeing something when I've seen the synopsis for this before. You may be picking up on it already. I'm not going to spoil it though for you. Um, but even in me saying that, you may figure out what I know. Um, yeah, yes, sir. Right away. At the offices of the Globe Leader, I I got a hot tip. H.A. Powers is almost bankrupt. Hmm. And he's hiring dozens of young fellows. Wonder. So RJ, what do you think is going on here?
Well, I think he's trying to collect the insurance money on the dead people. Uh, okay, so the airline couldn't collect money on the dead passengers, but if they're employees of his, then the company might be able to collect insurance on the dead employees, claiming that they were a valued asset of the company.
Even though they haven't like those last two employees we saw, um, they hadn't even started working for him yet.
Nah, doesn't matter. He says you're hired. You start working that minute. You're an employee.
The Crimson Avenger. Keep your eyes open. Where I'm going to find out. Keep your eyes open. Um, keep your eyes open, Wing. I'm going to find out what Powers has up his sleeve. Powers talked with a young man. You're just in time. You're just in time, young fellow. You'll take the night plane to South America, but first call here for for a for a satchel of important papers I wish to send down. Yes, sir. I'll do that, and thank you. The Crimson searches Power's desk. Hmm. A a time device. I get
I get the
I get
setup
the
now.
setup now. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's the or time for some reason. I get the setup now. The following day, Ed, I want you to book passage on the night plane for South America. Powers will be on it. Keep your eyes on him. Meanwhile, have you everything fixed, Jenks? Yeah. Um, she's tucked away. She's tucked away safe. You can't hear her tick. Time device. Wonder what that could be.
It's it's bomb.
A time bomb, maybe?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He told him to come back and pick up a satchel. That satchel's gonna have a bomb in it.
Hmm. Yeah. Anxious to keep an eye on Powers, Lee goes to his estate in the afternoon. Hey, let go! Mr. Powers don't like snoopers. Um, who are you? I'm a reporter. I'm trying to get a picture for the paper. Yeah, where's your camera? Come on, we got a place for wise guys like you. Lee is thrown into a dark cellar. Gosh, it's good I had my lineman's phone now to the trunk line.
Ah, he
What's a
carries a phone with him, but he's got to plug it in because it's not no cordless phones back then.
now, RJ? If I guess understand correctly, a lineman's phone, I'm guessing, is a phone with a cord on it that you could plug directly into any phone line.
Yes, yeah. The telephone company would come out. This back in the days when you rented your phone from the phone company. You didn't buy it. Um, but they would carry a phone with them and they would plug it in to test the line and they would make a call. It was it was like a mobile phone. You just had to plug it in to use it somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. After hours, well, I think I have seen phone guys use it nowadays as well. So, um, after hours of wall tapping, um, success. Hello, Wing. I'm locked in Powers' cellar. Get a ticket for Powers and pick me up at 9:30. Wang, here I am. Wing, here I am. Meanwhile, at the front, um, there you are. You'll have to hurry to get that plane. Here's the satchel. Thank you, sir. You'll have to hurry because you're going to Powers, the Crimson Avenger. But how did you? Fear in his eyes, Powers lunges at the Crimson. If you won't go nicely, you'll go this way. Oh, that gas! I can't breathe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stealing a little bit from the Green Hornet here. who was,
Well,
a newspaper
actually,
publisher who had a Filipino aide who dressed up and fought crime with him, who was hunted by the police and had a gas gun.
well, okay, but those are not the only two characters who would utilize gas guns.
Now
Okay,
Sandman and Sandy too.
yeah, Sandman and Sandy, and then in his very in like I think his first two or three adventures in Fox Feature Syndicate, the Blue Beetle. I know at least the very first one, and I think it was a few issues before they changed his character around a bit. But I know in the very first Blue Beetle that was produced by or published by Fox Feature Syndicate, same thing, kind of the business wearing, mask wearing, gas gun using type of hero.
Yes.
Much like Sandman, much like Green Hornet, much like Crimson Avenger.
By the way, I
Using
put a link in the private chat to an image of a lineman phone that would have been from the era that this was written. So if you wanted to see what one would look like, what Lee Travis would have been carrying under his coat.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead then and try to share that. Yeah, I'll load the one out for a moment and to share the other. Let me see. I think this is the one you. Is that what you were talking about there, RJ?
That's it. You had to put the clips on the trunk line, and then look, it's got that rotor. You just held it, and you dialed that rotary dial.
All right. All right. So anyway, so we'll go ahead and get back to the story then. I said we were gonna probably end up going a little beyond 2 hours tonight, but that's okay. Um, and we'll go ahead and clear that out now. So anyways, back to the comment section there. Thanks for being here, RJ. I have some cool videos next week. Yeah.
Cool.
RJ, did you see that from BatGoat?
I saw that just now, just as you read it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So, anyways, getting back to the story here. Let's see. The airport and let's see. The airport and step on it, Wing. Um, doesn't look like Powers is going to show up. Gosh, who's coming? Oh wait, I'm sorry. Um, doesn't look like Powers is coming to show. It's going to show up. Gosh, who's coming? Horn blowing and both the Crimson and Wing yelling. The car caresses onto the field. As it stops, the door pops open. Good night. Good night. It's Powers. I Powers dead driving. Get him aboard. He's all right.
Dead drunk.
Dead drunk. Get him aboard. He's going on this trip. Yeah, yeah, here are his tickets. Okay. Me lift him in. Me lift him in.
Men lift him in. Okay,
Uh,
men lift him in.
okay, men, lift him in. The huge plane takes off. Once in the air, Powers comes to. Oh, where am I? You're on the South American night plane, sir. Can I help you? The night plane? My God! Where is he? Why, Miss Powers, I didn't. Never mind, you fool. Give me that satchel. Certainly, but you. Boom! Powers uh,
Flings,
flings the
flings
satchel, then the window
through.
through the window, and a terrific explosion follows.
I love those planes where you could roll the windows down and feel the wind in your hair as you traveled to South America. Yes, of course. He threw it through the window.
Again, another sign of not knowing what they were talking about, right?
Yeah. I can picture there's like a crank on the side, just like your car.
Yeah.
Junior, get your head in the plane.
What do you think would happen if a window actually was to open up like that on
It
the
would
plane?
suck everything out of that would fit.
Would suck all the air out. It's like people would be dead from suffocation, wouldn't they?
Yeah, yeah, they would. It would vacuum it out until you sealed it back up again. God. I mean, they weren't in like a Cessna or something that was flying low and he could just like, no.
Wow, oh, wow, Powers confessed to all the airline accidents, but how did you figure this one, Chief? And how come the Crimson dragged him to the airport? That's a heap of questions, Ed. I don't know about the Crimson angle, but I figured Powers um, was collecting $5,000 or more on each fatality. As you were probably talking about, that was probably the coverage fee of the
Yeah.
insurance. And even though they're not doing it here, you know what that scenario kind of reminds me of, like the Justice League particularly the Superman filmation cartoons, where he would turn to the camera and he'd like, whether it's Clark or Superman, he'd like turn to the camera and then they go do that.
Yeah. Do the Clark wink. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like this one, don't don't miss the next chapter of the Crimson Avenger. And then of course we get to Bruce Nelson here, just kind of breeze through the rest of this. We're already past the 2 hour mark, so
Yeah.
I think we've gone through enough stories, right?
Yeah, we
Three,
did.
three stories. I mean, they were pretty good. Granted, the first one was a bit more difficult to read, obviously, but you know, um,
That slowed us down some. There's
and
some
here's
Slam
Slam
Bradley in there.
Bradley. There's Slam and Shorty. Slam, 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 slam. Do my Shorty voice there. And look at that kind of green and black plaid shirt there. He's wearing. He was wearing. Oh,
Back
there it
when
is.
all men wore jackets.
Yeah. And they wore business jackets. Look at that. And look, it looks like Shorty's got some hair there. In other issues, he's been bald. I don't know if that was a
Yeah.
toupee or what. Yeah. Slam's another character that we got from Siegel and Schuster. I told you they were probably one of the busiest duos of this time period.
Yep.
Five features. Now there are a few others like Sheldon Meyer had we know Fred Guarnier had at least two, maybe three features across a couple of books. You know, Will Eisner had quite a few. Will Eisner and Jack Kirby were working for Fiction House back then as well, and you had a number of theirs. And I think Will Eisner was still doing stories for both Fiction House and maybe one or two for Quality, even though he had somewhat of a falling out with Quality, from what I remember hearing. So yeah, so that's all. That's all the stories we're gonna do tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed them, and of course, Streamyard is saying that there's nobody watching, which I know is not true.
Oh, That's preposterous.
Yeah. What was the first link you sent me?
Well, that first link was a Fox News article.
The about Tug. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to check
yeah.
that out.
Fox News article mentioning that umbrella god, also known
They
as the
called him that
Umbrella Man.
umbrella god. They called him that.
No, but one of the transcripts, and you'll find, in fact, it's on Tug's Twitter page as his header right now. The captioning, the closed captioning that was capturing all the words they were saying, wrote out, "Were you talking with that umbrella god?" And he's like, "I've been promoted."
2002, 2017. All right. Well, I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the stories. Um, we'll start to wind things up. RJ, if you can stick around a few minutes after
We're
we.
not. We can't be done yet. We can't be done.
Well, I know. I'm just asking you now. We still have this day in each history, and I'm going to get to that.
That's what Woody's asking about. He's here
Yeah.
for the history.
Yep. So does that mean it's time for Nietzsche? Yes, it is. We're just going through the spiel of saying that it's time to wind down. RJ, if you don't mind sticking around after we're done for a few
Yeah, I can
minutes
do that.
post game. All right. So today being Friday, June the 3rd, 2022. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History. So, first off, we're going to head back to 2002, I believe, here. On this date, 20 years ago today, in 2002, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. And on that show, included in the main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeating Ric Flair in a no punches allowed pure wrestling match. Now, kind of one of the funny things about this match too, um, about that style of match, that was actually a match that came about from Ring of Honor. You know, what they call a peer match, which
Okay.
is basically you can't strike with your fist. You can still strike with a forearm or an open hand, but you can't punch. You have a 20 count instead of a 10 count to get back in the ring. There are a number of different rules to make it closer to more of an actual wrestling match than just catch as catch can style that American is known for. So that was a pure match was known more in like Ring of Honor. But that was the main event for the night. You also saw Undertaker defeat Tommy Dreamer. You saw in a couple of 2002 King of the Ring qualifying matches. You saw Booker T defeat William Regal, and X Pac defeat Goldust. Trish Stratus retained the WWE Women's Championship in a lingerie match over Terry Runnels, former wife of
Yes.
Goldust. You remember that, RJ?
I remember the lingerie matches.
Yeah. And then Bradshaw would defeat Steven Richards in the opening match for the Hardcore Championship. So on this date, 20 years ago today, Raw was held at the American Airlines Arena in Dallas. So there we go with that one. Moving on to the next piece of niche history here. Woody, I hope you're still here. We're still going through them. So on this date in 2009, which was 13 years ago today, the first issue of Chew from Image Comics went on sale on this date for $2.99, $32. Have you heard of this book before, RJ?
Never heard of it.
It was an Image title. It actually ran for 60 issues from 2009 to 2016. You know, title was called Chew. No, that's why I highlighted it this time because it did go for a little while, like 60 issues. I have no idea what it's about. Probably will learn if I ever get to that point, in my lifetime here.
Chew, Chew, is about Tony Chu, Chu, A cop with a secret. Tony Chu is cybopathic, which means he gets psychic impressions from whatever he eats, including people.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
He solves the murders by eating the bodies.
Oh boy. Yeah, that. So you got a little bit of you got kind of a cross between a detective story and a horror story.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting mix there, huh?
I mean, they're already dead when he's eating them, so it's not like he killed them to
Yeah,
but
but then again,
still
isn't
it's
that kind of like destroying evidence though? And then what would the family say about that?
exactly.
Yeah. So, anyways, and our last piece of niche history, of course, happened, of course, just 5 years ago on this date. 5 years ago, um, ba- um, Billy. Okay, so let me just make sure. Okay, this date 5 years ago, on the Disney Channel, Billy Dilly's Super Duper Subterranean Summer, and or I'm sorry, on Disney XD, Billy Dilly's Super Duper Subterranean Summer, and Disney Channel's Pat the Dog debuted on this date back in 2017. So 5 years ago, and Pat the Dog is still running. Um, I guess Billy Dilly's Super Duper Subterranean Summer didn't last more than the summer. So on this date, 5 years ago today, on Disney XD, Billy Dilly's Super Duper Subterranean Summer and Disney Channel's Pat the Dog both premiered on this date in 2017, 5 years ago today. So there we go, folks. That's all that we have for you tonight. I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight, enjoyed the content. I know the first story, was a little hard to read, but we got through it. Um, and I hope to see everybody back here on Monday for more niche news and for more niche news and content. Looking over the stories. Next week, of course, we'll continue our coverage of February 1939. We'll be looking through some of the books that went on sale from Dell, including the final issue of the comics, issue number 11. The final issue of that. We'll be reading out of that a little bit. We'll be reading out of Crackerjack Funnies, I believe, number 10. We'll do some summary work on Super Comic number 10, and then I think we'll also take a quick peek at the first of I believe it might be the four color type books from Dell, Dick Tracy and the Bank, I believe. Um, so I hope to see everybody back here on Monday. Bye.